I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, a tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
We're powered by thirst for knowledge, boxed wine, and we cover the most fascinating lessons in history, science, true crime, pop culture, and the paranormal.
What are we drinking for this learning journey, Hayley?
It is not boxed wine today. We've got some White Claws.
Woo!
No laws.
That's right. I have raspberry.
I also have raspberry. You have two raspberries there.
Yes, I have two raspberries because I wanted one for on the queue, and there was a raspberry on top, and then there was also black cherry, and I don't like the black cherry.
Okay, this works out well. I vibe with the raspberry, but I really like the black cherry. See,
Okay.
we just complement each other.
It works.
It just works, people.
But we both don't like grapefruit, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't like grapefruit White Claw. I don't like grapefruit fruit. No grapefruit. I don't like grapefruit, the act of it.
Grapefruiting. You've never grapefruited your man. But I actually love grapefruit, and I drink like bottles of grapefruit juice.
I know you do, which is why I'm so confused.
It tastes like the citrus flavored Svedka to me, and that has bad memories attached.
You've got a thing with flavors where you're able to like pinpoint and know things that I feel like the average population doesn't know. Like when you point out to me things like the candy peanuts are flavored banana, I can't untaste that.
Well, because they are. So of course you taste banana.
But I didn't know that.
When was the last time you ate circus peanuts?
Probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Which sounds crazy that I can say I did something 20 years ago.
But you said you can't untaste it. I didn't know you 20 years ago. Oh, in your mind.
In my mind. And now it's completely, now I don't want them again because of your all-knowing flavor thing you have going on. It's weird.
You eat circus peanuts, though, for the texture, not the flavor.
Yeah, the way they melt in your mouth.
They're so fucking good.
Like the rare Lifesaver mints, the ones that just like dissolve immediately.
What?
Have you never had a Lifesaver mint where it just kind of like if you hold it in your mouth, it just dissolves almost and gets really soft?
Like the ones that Alec has here, they dissolve in your mouth?
Yeah.
I guess I always chew them, so I've never had the chance.
Well, you'll have to take a chance.
That's
let it dissolve in your mouth.
Really good. I feel like I like that you also like circus peanuts because I feel like that's one of those controversial candies. Same with candy corn. But
we're a controversial people. I was just going to say candy corn, the peanuts. We do not agree on jelly beans. I do not fuck with jelly beans.
I don't hate jelly beans, but I also don't like love them. I just think they're fine. They're good.
Okay.
Also, before anyone comes for me, I know circus peanuts aren't vegetarian. That's why I don't eat them anymore. And I'm heartbroken over it. I would do anything except eat gelatin to eat another circus peanut.
Wait, you like them?
I loved them. They were my favorite candy.
What?
Especially the ones, the ones that come in those little like 50-cent bags like at the gas station. Those were so good because they're kind of stale usually and you can like chew on them.
Rest in peace.
So good. I can't believe you're making a face. You like banana flavor, don't you?
I don't like those circus peanuts, though. They're orange, taste like banana, and shaped like a peanut, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah. No.
Crazy. They're so good.
You know what I do love, though?
What?
When we get mail. And I've been waiting to open this mail.
You guys.
For recording.
We got mail from a listener, Not Your Nana's Soap. She's on Etsy, and she sent us a package. And it's been really tough because it came about a week ago. And we wanted to wait to open it until we were on air.
Yeah, so you all could hear it right now. Or if you're watching us live on TikTok, you can see us open it.
Do you want to do the honors?
Sure.
I've got a mail cam on us too for YouTube.
Wow.
So if you're watching on YouTube, we've got a live cam on the box.
We've got wrapping, not peanuts, but ooh, it's a pretty white box. It says Not Your Nana Soap, homemade soaps and candles just for us.
I can't wait to
I
smell
know there's
them.
something very unique. Oh,
is there a
guys,
note?
use code NIGHTCLASSY for 15%
Oh
on
my
Etsy.
God.
Can you put that in your camera real quick, Hayley?
That is the name of this podcast, capital N, capital C, Night Classy, for 15% off of Not Your Nana's Soap.
15% is a lot.
That is a lot. Thank you so much. Okay. It's crinkling. Lots of colors in here. There's
some very pretty
flower petals.
Ooh, flower petals. There's pretty tissue paper.
Yes, and here we go. First off, we have our luscious lips. I should turn it this way. This is what you're looking for, men, right?
There it is. It is a full-on labia.
Yep.
Yeah, this is vagina soap.
Vagina soap. What's that?
Look at this one.
What is it? Oh, it's a bubble butt. And it's squishy. It's like those Lush soaps that are made of jelly. And it's a butt and it's squishy and it's limoncello tart. Let me smell it.
This is
oh my God, it smells so good.
I just can't stop myself from we got a lot of stuff in here. Wow, that is so good. I love some good citrus. These are booby soaps and they are all natural. They're not your perky boobs that you see in porn. They are normal, natural boobies. We got two of them. They
smell good too. It's love spell scent.
Anyone who wasn't expecting this or like doesn't know us and is listening to this episode is like, wow, this really took a turn. Okay, here in a little tin can we have mini soaps.
Mini soaps.
And I can't see what's inside, so I'm very interested. Yeah, I'm working on it. I got this.
Oh no, what is it? Oh my God, is it all little penises?
It's like a micro penis. Oh. They look so like I want to eat.
Oh, there's
them.
a boob.
There's a boob.
They do look like modeling chocolate.
Yeah, I want to eat. Like I almost want to.
Yeah,
I know it's very forbidden snacks.
Whoa.
They kind of smell like vanilla. I don't know if that's what they're supposed to smell like.
Look at this one.
Oh,
it's
that
different.
one's a chode.
There's different sizes.
Oh, this one's hard and then that one's not.
Yeah.
These are adorable.
They smell so good. These are great. I'm going to put these out.
Oh, she sent us so many things.
This one is a big old dick.
That is a big old dick.
With veins.
Ooh, lavender and rose petals scent. Yum.
There's another one. This one is pumpkin spice.
Oh my God. Do you want the pumpkin spice one and I'll take this one?
Yeah, that's fine.
I love lavender. Oh my God.
It's a candle. It's a candle.
Oh my God, it is a candle. Is this a candle?
Soap?
This one is soap. Do you want the candle or the soap?
I don't care.
Okay.
As long as I get one of them.
I still want this one.
I will be glad. And we have one more, Alec. This one's for you.
Oh,
Fudge
nice.
dipped brownie tip.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, and
that
this
one
one's
is
a candle.
I feel like I don't even want to burn it. I'm going to place an order.
Can you hold
I'm
it
going
up to that camera?
2 of everything. 1 to burn, 1 to churn.
I know. I'm definitely going to order more because these are gorgeous. You can see the veins. You can see the hair follicles.
This
beautiful.
Is everything. Thank you so freaking much. What is their name?
Again, that is Not Your Nana's Soap. She's on Etsy. And what is it? Code Night Classy for 15% off.
Yep. And she wrote it in the box, capital N, capital C, with that Night Classy. So go get your own. They smell fucking amazing.
Yeah, this
really
room
do.
smells great now.
Yeah.
Way better than our sweat because it's so hot in here.
And this lavender rose petal soap, if you hold it up to the light, you can see that it has little like flowers in it. And I like to picture them as sperms because they're inside the dick.
Yeah. And look, the base of it where the balls are like
it has
solid.
lots of them.
Yeah. So they're just traveling. Maybe that was the design. That's the thought process. I mean, it really does look like
it's very anatomically correct.
I'm loving this. Everything is my favorite. But if I had to pick a favorite, probably the bubble butt soap. It's just so squishy.
Yeah. Have you ever used gel soap like that?
No.
Me either, but I'm really excited to.
Well, thank you so much. And Not Your Nana's Soap. This is definitely not my Nana's soap.
Definitely not. But we appreciate it. It's been so fun. I don't know. I just love our listeners so much. And I was just thinking about it today. So we have a couple like OG listeners that have been with us for a very long time. And stuff has been like like their lives have been changing because we've been doing this podcast so long. Like Alana just graduated freaking grad school.
That's insane. That gave me goosebumps, actually.
Isn't that crazy?
Congratulations.
I think when we first started talking to her, she was in undergrad, I'm pretty sure. And now she has like a whole master's degree. And then our listener Dicey just had a freaking baby.
A whole baby.
It's
a whole
so
baby.
wild.
Dr. Dicey, we're going to send you something.
Yeah, we're going to figure it out.
For your baby.
We're going to send you one of these dick soaps. You're welcome. Just kidding. I know you. She'll probably buy a dick soap on her own, but we'll figure something else out. So welcome, baby Alice, and congratulations, Alana. And it's just so cool to see, like, tell us what's up with your lives, because we love it.
We love you all so much. Speaking of that, we got to hang out with some of our patrons on Friday during our night classy live cocktail hour, which is literally just a Zoom where we all show up, drink if you want to, drink if you don't, or don't drink if you don't want to. But we just get to talk, and we played games. We didn't even play any games.
I don't think
this
we
time.
did play
just
games.
Talked like the whole time. It was awesome.
It was really fun, and our listeners be drinking. It was really fun.
Shots on shots.
And oh my God, I can't talk. We drank too.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. I just know it was purple and it tasted amazing. You have more details than I do, though.
Yeah. I was talking to a podcast. It's called Gin and Sofa, and I haven't gotten a chance to listen to them, but their host I've been talking to on Instagram, and he seems delightful. He gave us a cocktail recipe, and he just DM'd me today with another one. So shout out to them. Go give them a listen. I'm going to. And the recipe that he gave me, I had to modify it because I couldn't find one of the things that was supposed to go in it. So I mashed up 2 recipes he sent me, and I ended up doing Empress Gin, which is like a deep purple gin. And then it was Creme de Violet, which is a violet floral liqueur, and then we mixed it with soda water and lemon juice, and it was really fucking good.
Delicious. Again, too easy to drink.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
It was really fun. Our next cocktail hour will be the first Friday of is next month May?
Yeah.
Oh my God. But come join us for that. It's available to all of our tiers on Patreon, and you can find that on patreon.com/nightclassy or follow the link in our show notes.
And speaking of Patreon, our newest List Bitch episode is out right now. Yes. We're about to be recording another one, and that is really the same old Kat and Hayley, but we're just doing lists. It's like many lessons, but somehow the episodes have tended to last almost the same amount of time. So if you want extra content, just head over to Patreon, and you can listen to all of our backlogs of the substitute lessons where we've had other people come in and teach us lessons, because that was really fun to just sit back and not do the research. But we enjoy creating the content so much for you all that we made a whole new show over on Patreon. So hopefully we'll see you at Cocktail Hour, and hopefully we can feel you listening to List Bitches.
Hopefully we can feel you listening.
Both. I want to feel you, and I want to feel you listening intuitively.
I have one more housekeeping thing before we wrap this up. So as I've been made aware through our DMs, Spencer is not in Midnight Mass. You're looking at me like you don't remember. So last week I said that Spencer from iCarly is in the Netflix show Midnight Mass.
Okay.
I had no idea what you were talking about either.
Shockingly, he's not. And it's not him, which obviously, I don't know why I thought that. And the reason is so the guy who's actually in it, he's from this show called New Adventures of Old Christine, which I really liked, I think at the same time as I liked iCarly. And they look alike. And so they got, in my mind, that guy who, I don't remember his name, it's Haymitch something.
What a name.
I know, crazy. But I thought he was Spencer. And to be fair, he's not. They do kind of look alike. I mean, not Spencer is hotter than Spencer, I will say.
So you just had high hopes for Spencer. You're like remembering him for the best he could have been. And when you saw someone who looked remotely like him, you're like, Spencer.
Yeah, I think I had to justify in my mind why I had a crush on him. And so I replaced him with a hotter guy.
If I remember correctly, you were even like, I mean, he's aged really well.
Yes. And you know what? If that were him, like he got a whole new face and really aged well.
He's like completely different. Like when I tell you not the same person, I'm not lying.
He's had
But it's
work
him.
done. And I needed the number of his plastic surgeon because damn.
So did multiple people reach out
Yes.
to say? I didn't know the difference, so you could have fooled me.
I mean, I didn't either, and I did fool you, and I fooled myself, but I didn't fool the people who corrected me, which I appreciate that you let me know, so I don't keep sounding like an idiot. But yeah, again, I don't know, like Haunting of Hill House. Midnight Mass is such a serious show, and then to think that I thought freaking Spencer from iCarly. I don't know. I'm an idiot.
You know, some people switch up their genre when they're actors. They're just like,
He has range.
Yeah, he has range. He has range with me. I don't know about the rest of you all, but
But yeah, so is that the first correction we've done on this podcast? There have been a few that probably could have used corrections, but that was the first one I felt really embarrassed about.
You felt really embarrassed about that one?
Yes, that's really embarrassing.
It's the most inconsequential thing ever.
That actually reminds me of something that I never did correct. But while we're doing corrections, this is not a correction, but a confirmation. Remember a few episodes back when I did the CIA inventions and they created like a, what's his name? Saddam Hussein doll. It was sold in Pakistan, not Afghanistan.
Nice.
So.
Good to know.
In case
So
y'all were
smart.
wondering, staying up late at night, that is a correction confirmation. We
Love
could have
that.
a whole show, I feel like, based on things at
Oh,
the end of the month, just to wrap up all the
100%.
things that are like, I don't know.
That's like My Favorite Murder does corrections corner. We need that, but we need our own name for it. We'll workshop it. 'Cause there's a
cone
lot.
corner, like
Like the cone of
you feel
shame. There
you
we
know,
go.
but baby has had her cone on, and she's like acting like she's had major surgery. Like she doesn't leave the couch. She's depressed.
She's depressed. I'd be
Yeah.
depressed too if I had to wear a cone.
Well, it's either that or let her infection spread because she keeps licking this spot on her neck that was seriously so small, but she keeps licking it, and now it's over the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
So
She's a dumb bitch.
cats are fun. Yeah. Well, anyway, anything else?
No.
Okay, let's get into it.
I blew a .031.
I won and blew a .033.
So I get to sit here and drink my White Claw.
Enjoy that.
I will.
Well, I take you on this learning journey, bitches.
I'm ready. I'm going to get my soap so I can smell my soap while you talk.
Oh my gosh. It's like getting high on bath salts, but different and not the same thing. Okay. Are you ready? Because it doesn't seem like you're ready.
I'm almost ready. I'm going to take it out of the bag. Okay, here we
I feel
go.
like I just need to take a picture of you holding that. Just like rub it up on the microphone cover a little bit so you can like smell it all the time. It's
That's
good.
smart.
Yeah?
Yeah, let me
Okay.
do it again.
Yeah, just the tip.
Alex
just
is
the tip, cat.
Just the tip. Alex having an aneurysm right now as I ruin his recording equipment. He's like, I use that for my job. Also, I feel like now this isn't smart because my face is going to hit it and I'm going to get acne on my chin because I don't think
soap.
it's not face soap though.
It's soap. It's fine. It's
And
fine.
if you're listening to audio only, Kat is rubbing a soap penis against the microphone. She's rubbing the head of a soap penis.
It
Yeah,
smells
so
Against the
so
microphone.
good. I
Wondering.
need to stop getting a visual of that though.
Yeah, keep just crinkling and
Oh my
wrap
God,
it
okay.
up, take it out, wrap
All
it
right,
back up.
everyone stop being annoying and listen to Hayley.
Everyone else who's literally doing the most.
I've been respectful this whole time. And I just don't think it's fair that you guys are getting in the way of this recording.
In 1885, an advice column in the Pittsburgh Dispatch newspaper received a letter from anxious father asking for advice. You see, all 5 of his daughters were unmarried. ages 18 to 26.
I mean, 26 is...
Spinster.
I'm about to get there myself.
Yeah, your father, I'm sure, is super anxious.
He is. It was him that wrote that letter.
He went back in time so that you wouldn't catch him. He also fucked around a little bit and had 4 other kids. The journalist responding to anxious father, Erasmus Wilson, didn't exactly give the father advice or really even answer his question. He more so stated, long story short, that women belong in the kitchen.
Yes, I would agree with that.
That he hates working women.
Okay.
And that...
Unless they make penis soap.
Right. And that there are very limited and very specific things that women are good at.
True.
Quote, any woman outside her sphere is a monstrosity. And what is her sphere, you may ask? Well, it's simple. So simple that he put it down to one word. He said, the sphere is the home. So women should be in the home. We've heard it time and time again.
Barefoot and pregnant, baby. Make me a sandwich, bitch.
Yeah, but if you're going to have kids, they better be married by the time they're 10, apparently.
God.
I don't know what age typically kids were getting married, or at least.
Yeah, I'm surprised he was concerned about his 18-year-old daughter.
But you gotta get a move on, because if he has a 26-year-old daughter who's not married.
Yeah, she has to get married first. That's the rule.
Is that the rule?
That was the rule back then. Like when you would marry off your kids, you had to marry them off in age order.
Okay.
So you'd have to wait for your older sister to get married before you could get married.
Well, there you go. You have a 26-year-old who's not married.
She's practically
ruining
in
things
the
for the
family.
Yes.
Have some respect.
A total bitch.
By the way, I know you guys know this, but this is a joke.
Yeah.
We don't actually
this is
think
all
this.
a joke. In his writing, Erasmus worried about the state of the country and about how people, specifically mothers, weren't spending enough time with their children. Erasmus speculated that the U.S. may soon have to follow China's now defunct infanticide regulation against baby girls.
What?
Yeah.
That was because women aren't spending enough time with their kids.
Yeah, he's like, too many women are working, and eventually they're going to vote. We can't have that. We need to kill them all.
So the solution is to get rid of all women.
Yeah. So obviously women were outraged. Response letters from women everywhere washed over the newsroom like a tidal wave. One of the letters came from 20-year-old Elizabeth Jane Cochran. She wrote to tell them that if they had any women working for them, they would see that women are not working to be a nuisance. They're working to survive. And that it's unfair women were blocked from so many jobs just because of their sex. Her own mother, who did everything she could, everything like a good Victorian housewife and mother was supposed to do, ended up with nothing after her husband died. The managing editor, George Madden, of no relation that we know of. Who knows? But he was struck by the quality of the writing, and he wanted to know more about the person who wrote this response letter.
He's like, it's got to be a man.
Yeah, I need to know. Show me your soap penis.
Does it have lavender in it? No.
Make a mold, make a soap, send it in. And he's like holding the labia one and holding the soap one. And he's like, well, what's it going to be? But the letter was signed Lonely Orphan Girl Nellie Bly. So henceforth, we will refer to her as Nellie, because that's like what she went for the rest of time, it seems. Nellie Bly had many names, but she was born Elizabeth Jane Cochran outside of Pittsburgh. She always hated the name Elizabeth. She hated the nickname Lizzie. And when she was growing up, everyone called her Pink.
Oh,
just a cute little thing.
that is a cute nickname.
Her dad was very successful. Their hometown of Cochran's Mills was literally named after her dad, but then he went off and died without ever even writing a will, and her mom got nothing.
How'd she get nothing? Who
She
got it?
nothing from the estate. I think the state did. I don't know who got it, but the wife didn't get anything. Nellie was 6 years old when her dad died, and he left behind 15 kids.
Holy shit.
And they got nothing.
How old was her dad when he died?
I don't know. That's a great question. But it was shocking. Like, he hadn't even written a will. So probably like 40 or 50. I don't know. That's a great question.
That's so wild.
I'm going to say 52.
Okay.
Final answer.
Fair enough.
So Nellie watched her mom struggle for the rest of her life growing up. And since Nellie had a ton of siblings, they moved into the city where her brothers easily secured white-collar jobs that she was denied eventually, despite having a better education. And see, Nellie's mom had opened up a boarding home, which helped them make ends meet. And that's where Nellie worked and hated it because she was working as a housekeeper and tending to the children. After she was forced to drop out of college, she went to Indiana Normal School in Pennsylvania due to financial hardship. She couldn't afford it. I mean, how could you when you're trying to just make ends meet and support the entire family? So she was working there, and it was on the job that Nellie came across that article from Erasmus Wilson called "What Are Girls Good For?"
This is not a rhetorical question. I'm genuinely asking.
I literally need to know.
No one has given me a good answer yet.
They're good for talking back, apparently. So George Madden, the editor, was intrigued by Nellie Bly's passion and her witty response to the column, and he basically placed a missed connections ad in the newspaper requesting that the lonely orphan girl Nellie Bly identify herself. The next day, after the newspaper was published, Nellie showed up to the dispatch office, and George asked her, they get to talking, and he's like, well, how about you start your column here and just do it on things in the women's sphere, whatever that is.
Whatever bullshit you feel like is important to
I'm
women,
sure
just
you
go
know.
ahead. Yeah.
But it wasn't even that. It was like whatever. It was more so like gardening, fashion, gossip. Even when she wanted to do things that were important to women, actually, she was more directed back to the typical women things.
Call me a dumb bitch, but those are the three things I'd care about reading.
She was good at it, but it's just not what she cared about.
What did she care about?
Oh, we'll get to it. George hired her for $5 a week, which was slightly more than she would make in a factory. And she did agree to write for them, and she named her article column The Girl Puzzle. In her articles, Elizabeth her first one was seriously responding to the anxious father's inquiries about what to do with his daughters. She started by addressing the anxious father's concerns directly. As someone who was born into riches, but at 6 years old, her dad dies, and she saw her mom struggle, and she discussed in general the struggles of low-income single mothers. And then she talked about how class and income in general could affect the opportunities available to a person. And Nellie Bly even quotes Erasmus's article. She says, quote, Mr. Quiet Observation says, in China, they kill baby girls. Who knows but that this country may have to resort to this sometime. Would it not be well, as in some cases it would, to save a life of misery and sin and many a lost soul?
Oh no. Oh no, Nellie. Nellie, stop. You were ahead.
She's she's not being serious. She's just
right,
like
satire.
Yeah. Her ultimate solution was to treat girls like boys.
Okay.
Let a youth start as an errand boy, and he will work his way up until he's one of the firm. Girls are just as smart, a great deal quicker to learn. Why? Then can they not do the same? She signs off basically saying, do better. Mm-hmm. And that the anxious father's daughters would be a lot better off if he stops talking about them and starts helping them be productive members of society. So she's really like coming out with a bang. But at the time, women were not in journalism when Nellie started at the Dispatch. Women worked in the factories, and the newsroom was for the men. You know, they're smoking cigars and
Drinking whiskey.
and
Smacking their secretary's ass.
having mustaches, you know, guy things.
Right.
But women were necessary in the eyes of men eventually for the fashion, the gossip, and women were not accurate, and they would make terrible journalists because they always exaggerate. So there was a very narrow opportunity for women to actually partake in creating the media, leaving the only feasible role being for women to be columnists for things like society, fashion, food, all of those things that we talked about earlier. So that's what she goes on to do. For 2 years, Nellie's writing about fashion and gardens, and she just gets to the point where she's over it. She tells her boss that she's ready to level up. And he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to write about fashion in gardens. Oh my God. And Nellie's like, no, I want to report on things that actually matter and things that are important to me.
Like gardens in fashion?
The fashion of your garden that you can see through your sink kitchen window.
I was going to say, he's like, have you ever heard of a Venn diagram, Nellie? Sit down.
Nellie, have you heard of, what is it called? Intersectionality? So she's very interested in the conditions in factories for girls specifically. She's interested in corruption of the government, and she's interested in how people are treated in prisons. And she's like, this is the stuff I want to write on. George Madden thinks about it, and he's like, no, it's a no for me. Go back and write about fashion and gardens. So she decides to leave, and she goes to New York. Once she's in New York, she sets her sights on one of the 10 major newspapers called the New York World. The year is 1887 now. She walks into the New York World office, and she asks to speak with Colonel Cockrell. I guess he's like the editor, or I don't know. He's someone very important.
She's like Cochran, Cockrell.
I know
we'll get along just
all
fine
about that. And she's denied by the secretary, but she eventually levels with her, and the secretary lets her in to talk to the colonel.
She's like, would it help if I sexually harassed you? Would that make me? Would that make me worth letting into the back office? Yeah.
Bend over. Nellie proposes that she goes to Europe. She comes in with this idea to go to Europe and come back to America posing as an immigrant and report on her experiences. She's like, this can be my first article series for your newspaper. I have a great idea, and I think this is it. I think it could be great for you. And the colonel's like,
wait, I don't understand. So she wants to go to Europe and then come back to America, pretend she's an immigrant.
yeah.
Like, she's not. She's going to pretend and then write about the immigrant experience.
Yes. Precisely.
Okay. All right.
Because she thinks that there are obviously hardships with being an immigrant. So instead of just going and like interviewing.
So she's not interviewing anyone.
No.
She's reporting on what it's like for her to go on a vacation and then come home from the vacation.
She's not going to visit Europe. She's like going out to Europe via ship and then coming right back and creating this whole thing.
Oh, so it's like a whole fake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was called stunt journalism, which we now would consider investigative journalism.
Okay.
But it didn't work out. The colonel's like, that's intriguing, but that would be very expensive.
And just a terrible idea. It makes no sense.
Well, wait till you hear this.
Okay.
So he has an idea that she take on an equally thrilling task that is 100% less expensive. His idea is that she gets admitted to a, quote, insane asylum and report back on her experiences there.
Okay. I mean, it's more interesting.
I would say so. She doesn't have to go by boat across the ocean. So curiosity had been raised in the preceding months about abuses happening at Blackwell's Island, which is where prisons, shelters for the unhoused, and of course the women's asylum/mental hospital was for New York City. There was no good way to get an answer about what was really going on in the asylum from the outside. And it's unknown exactly who thought of their plan or how exactly it happened, but here's how it was supposed to play out. So Nellie pretends to be quote unquote insane, spend time in the asylum until they come from the newspaper to check her out under the agreed upon name of Nellie Brown. And if she successfully completed this expose expedition, she would have a job at the World newspaper in New York City.
Is this their way of just like getting her off their ass? They're like, just go to this insane asylum and then they never pick her up.
Right. That could be a freaking movie. Oh my God. It seems that was probably a lot of people's ways of getting rid of ambitious women in the 1800s. But Nellie had work to do. She had never been around someone who was mentally unwell, except for all the men in the 1800s. Anyway, but she wasn't sure how to convincingly act like she was unwell mentally. So she made herself stay awake for a couple days, and she would practice different faces in the mirror. I do have a picture of her doing this. It's depicted in her book that she ended up writing. That's Nellie Bly.
Okay.
Cute little thing. She's got some little bangs, dressed in an 1800s petticoat and all that good stuff.
She does.
The next picture is the depiction of her like making faces in the mirror. She did end up writing a book, which was illustrated in some parts.
What's she doing with her hand? She's like grabbing her bangs, or she's pulling on her own hair?
She's just trying to look, quote unquote, crazy. She's experimenting a little bit. And I know that it's not the best thing to call someone crazy or insane, but she's just trying to act the part so that she could get into this hospital. So after a day or two without sleep, she was ready. She checked into a boarding home for working women, thinking that if she acted out enough, it wouldn't be long before she was taken away. Nellie pretended to have amnesia and was like muttering to herself on the street. And once she checked into the home, she would repeat specific like phrases. No one really thought anything of it at first until it was about a day or two later. And I'll get to that in a second. But one of her phrases was telling all the other women that they looked crazy.
What I don't understand is why someone from the newspaper couldn't check her into the hospital and be like, this is my aunt. She's crazy.
It's not sensational.
Okay. She has to like convince a stranger to send her there.
There was a whole background story that she made up. Again, with the immigrant stuff, she told everyone that she was a Cuban immigrant.
She has some kind of complex.
She must.
Yeah.
She must. And so after a day or two at the boarding house, the tenants ended up calling law enforcement. They're like, get this crazy bitch out of here. And a police officer came to collect her. She went without much of a fuss, and then she was seen by a judge and a doctor, and they're like, oh yeah, she's insane. And the judge sent her to Bellevue Hospital. At the hospital, she was forced to eat spoiled food. They kept her in a cold room. And
why?
That's how mental hospitals were back then. I don't know.
Okay, so it was just bad. They
bad.
weren't like purposefully
I think it was just
like
bad.
trying to crack her. Like if she's not really crazy, she's gonna
won't
admit
put up with
yeah.
this. Yeah. And there are some conflicting things here for me because I feel like it was very easy to get people into the hospitals, and it almost seemed like they really almost in a sick way wanted people in these asylums.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. But also it should have been very easy for them to just be like, oh, my aunt needs to stay here for a week.
Also, I don't know how much you can trust of like this stuff because she probably made it as wild sounding as possible, you know?
Yeah.
Like I have no doubt that people were abused in these places, but she also has an agenda to make a sensational piece.
Well, she does claim multiple times that the only thing she ever lied about was her name and her age.
Okay, there you go.
So obviously she's telling the truth about everything. But the doctor there diagnosed her with dementia. She's 22 years old right now. And other psychological illnesses, and sent her to Blackwell's Island. When they arrived by ferry, Nellie acted like she knew nothing about this place. She's like, oh, where are we? And they're like, Blackwell Island, silly. You're going to have a great time. Yeah. Vacation. They immediately confiscated her pen and notebook when she got there. And when she asked for them back later on, they were like, you didn't have a pen. You didn't have a notebook. And they were like, you need to fight against your imagination. That's going to get you in trouble.
I love that they're like turning her own like pretend dementia around on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just treated them.
She's like, you can't remember anything, and now you suddenly remember you have a pen and a notebook.
Yeah.
That's sus.
As if you can read and write, woman.
Right.
And Nellie had decided beforehand to not act at all in the asylum. Once she was checked in, she's like, all right, I'm just going to be my normal self. And spoiler alert, the doctors and nurses didn't even notice that she was completely normal. The conditions at Blackwell Island were everything you would expect from a psych ward in the 1800s to be. It was built in 1832 and was designed to hold 1,000 patients. When Nellie arrived, there were 1,600 patients crammed into that bitch. Budget cuts severely affected the quality of patient care, and there were just 16 doctors on staff.
For 1,600 people?
Yep. One doctor per 100 people.
And were there nurses?
There were nurses.
Okay.
I can't imagine a ton.
Right. That's wild.
And it makes sense, some of the ways that they tortured them, because it seems like something that you could keep up if you didn't have enough people.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the patients were required to sit still, strapped onto benches, and like sit up completely straight, and they weren't allowed to talk or move for like 12 plus hours. And people would be so stiff and sore from being like tied up all day. These patients / inmates, I would consider them at this point, were forced to take ice baths in their clothes.
Oh my God.
And then they weren't allowed to change out of their cold clothes.
Why?
I don't know.
Like, was that there like did they think it was like somehow therapeutic, or was it just sadistic?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think that they were definitely in over their heads as well. And the stress of having to deal with such low staffing probably kicked in. But also I think that they were maybe on some weird power trip, and it just got out of control.
Yeah.
They also didn't switch out the water when they gave them baths, so it was just like cold water that everyone else had taken a bath in that you had to get dunked under, and then you couldn't change into dry clothes. Some patients were strapped with ropes and tethered to carts to move supplies. Food and sanitation, obviously not great. The meat was often rotted, bread was moldy and stale, the water was very unrarely contaminated. Anyone who spoke up about the abuse was beat down. And Nellie mentioned threats of sexual abuse from the staff. So Nellie described it as a human rat trap. It was very easy to get in, but impossible to get out. And at her time there, she also noticed that there are plenty of sane women who, when she talked to them, said that they couldn't get out. They weren't they couldn't check themselves out. And many of them were immigrants who simply did not speak English.
And Nellie's like, yeah, me too.
Cuba, Havana, baby. So these immigrants were rounded up by law enforcement simply because they couldn't communicate properly, quote unquote.
You would think, too, that this kind of a place would be eager to get rid of people being that they're so overcrowded.
Yeah.
So it's weird that they were just keeping everyone.
That's what makes me think that it is some type of weird sadistic thing
Yeah.
happening here. And this asylum was for men and women, or there was a point in time where it was housing a bunch of different people, but then it got switched to just an asylum for women. So in the mid to late 1800s, I feel like that is definitely some strong sexism.
Oh,
just
definitely.
wanting the women to go away.
Yeah, or just like women that like you have nothing else, like need somewhere to go, you know? Like,
Yeah.
because you can't really support yourself a lot of the time.
Yeah. The anxious father was like, I need advice. My unmarried daughters, do I send them to Blackwell Island or do I send them to Rutgers? Or what is it called? Rutgers Island? Rutgers Island? Whatever island it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. Other people were there simply because they were poor and living on the streets. So just like you said, they didn't have anywhere else to go. And, excuse me, after making friends in the asylum, Nellie realized that a lot of the women were mentally well when admitted, but the squalor conditions in the ward were bad enough to make any mentally healthy person unwell.
100%. I would be unwell immediately.
Immediately upon walking in there.
Yeah, I'm not strong.
If somebody strapped me to a chair, I already can't sit still. That would be absolutely insane. And I can't stand to be cold and wet.
Or dirty.
Or
eat rotten food.
meat. No,
Yeah, none of
absolutely
it.
not. So Nellie's cover was also almost blown by a fellow reporter. Back then, psych wards like this were like human zoos, and that the public could literally go in there and observe the patients.
What?
Yeah.
How?
There were windows. They could go in, and it was like a seeing babies in the hospital. Like you could go in there and see like how they were acting.
So why did she even have to go in here if you could just go look around?
Because she wanted the experience.
Okay.
She was there for the drama.
I see.
So this fellow reporter that she knew was there observing her and everyone else, and she like tried to keep her head down. Thankfully, or unthankfully, I don't know. They didn't notice her. The reporter didn't say anything, and
So he wasn't there, or they weren't there for her. They were just there for the zoo.
They were just there. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
People were so shitty. I guess people are still shitty.
People are
just in
still
different
shitty,
ways.
but that is like
I
another
know.
level.
I know.
Just there for fun. The fuck?
It's disgusting, which is another reason why I think I don't know if all mental hospitals were.
Not again.
Oh my God,
I'll go
okay,
get
just
some paper
spilled my White
towels.
Claw everywhere. Jesus.
Here, I'll pause us. We are back.
Welcome back. Another alcohol catastrophe. Me talking with my hands, swinging them everywhere, knock them down. These straws are long. I have to give them that. They're very hittable.
We need to invent something where the can of White Claw can be strapped to your mic.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's a straw. And so you can like not move your mouth from the mic while you're drinking.
And just do like a double.
just-
Yeah. I need one of those hats that have the
You do.
straw, and then I'll have like the glasses, and it'll be very fun.
That would work too. Or it could be because we're wearing headphones, and it could be like a headphones hat like
Yeah.
that. And then the White Claws could go on the headphones.
I need a bra that is full of White Claw.
See,
that just has like a little snorkel.
that doesn't
doo-wop.
work because then it's freezing cold on your titties.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see where that would be an issue. Or I need a brick that has a hole in it that I rest my White Claw in. So if I
like a cup
move it
holder.
at all, yeah.
Yeah, what if it
very
had a big
heavy.
suction cup on it?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. And that could just be like a suction cup that can go in any can.
Right.
And then just
Oh, you're thinking straight to the can?
straight to the can.
Interesting.
Straight to the can for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
I
we're
need
on to something.
Something like that. If you have a 3D printer or a manufacturing company
Or a suction cup.
or a suction or you have a solution. I really want to get an alcohol bra So if you have a solution to my boobs being too cold.
I used to have one of those alcohol bras that I got as a white elephant, and sadly I never took it out of the box.
So you don't even know if your boobs would be cold or not.
I do, because on And That's Why We Drink, that happened. Christine got an alcohol bra and put like cold Chardonnay in it and died.
Be shivering.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know it's bad if like your nipples still poke through an alcohol bra.
Right. And then it probably gets like, it eventually heats up to your body temperature, and no one wants to drink warm White Claw.
Yeah. Here's what I'll do. I'll just pound a couple White Claws before we record, and then it'll just last the whole time, and I'll be completely coherent.
There you go. We need to start drinking more. We've like really fallen off the alcohol boat on this podcast.
I feel like you've fallen off the alcohol boat. I'm still willing, but you've been like, no, I don't really drink like
you
that.
don't drink any more than I do. Usually we both have like one or two drinks.
But I'm influenced by you.
Okay, so you're saying I need to drink more and then you'll drink more.
We need to make a show where we can just drink as much as we want and then do something else.
We should make like a new Patreon show where we get like super drunk, like take like 4 shots of tequila and then try to record. Maybe we should,
God.
You know what we should do? We should just use our old notes and tell our old stories, but like blacked out drunk.
Yes. Oh my God. That sounds so fun.
Sounds really easy. It would require no extra work.
I'm here for that. Yeah. We need to create like it's like drunk edition, but something more catchy.
Yeah.
Than that.
Is there a way we could turn a learning journey into an alcohol pun?
There has to be, right? Like, Lerny drunkie. Okay. That's a good start. Yeah, good start.
All right, we'll workshop it.
Okay. Back to the actual learning journey. Let's figure out where we were. Okay. So Nellie spends 10 days in this mental hospital before a lawyer from the World newspaper that she worked for showed up and checked her out of the asylum. The first expose articles were published the next day after Nellie's release, and she did not leave out a single detail, whether she was being sensational and editorializing her experience a bit.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I
blacked out. How long was she in there for?
10 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So not super long, but
long
10
enough.
days is plenty of time to get a full picture of what was going on there. She quickly, like overnight, became famous for her work. And she used her articles to compile her book documenting her stay. And it was called, this is not PC for 2022. It could definitely have a better name, but her book is called 10 Days in a Madhouse. After the articles were out and literally everyone read them, a grand jury panel visited the asylum to investigate. But of course, everyone there had already read the articles too and made quick work of making the asylum look good. Hordes of inmates were released or transferred. They're just a bunch of like feral people out in the wilderness around the asylum. And
yeah,
we don't know them.
They just drop them off in the middle of the wilderness.
Go, go, go.
Honestly, that's probably pretty much what they did. They probably bust them into the city and just left them there.
And then that also points to them knowing that what they were doing was wrong.
100%. And also, if you could just go in there and look around, like people probably knew it took someone who's not an actual patient to write something.
Definitely. And there's a picture in her book showing that she describes the insane hall, if you will, that shows how they were all lined up on the benches and tied up. I forgot to mention earlier, we'll post these to Instagram. But when the grand jury went in, not all of them, but a ton of inmates were released. Fresh food and water was now readily available, and the building had a deep cleaning. Like these
weird
people
how suddenly they're able to do all this stuff.
Oh yeah, they just popped some Adderall and went hard.
Put on a podcast.
Yeah,
bought some new mop.
Put on some Night Classy. What would 1800s Night Classy have been?
It wouldn't have had female hosts, I can tell you that.
Hot spinster.
Hot spinster.
That's kind of cute. I like that.
We would have thrived in the Victorian era because it was
I would have
all
gotten-
about spiritualism.
We would have thrived for that reason, maybe, but I feel like I would have gotten the shit beat out of me by a guy.
Maybe. I don't know. I have an affinity toward the Victorian era. And I know, like, if it really came down to it, I wouldn't want to live like that. But, like, I just love how they were all goths.
Yeah.
That's
See,
the
so
best.
now you understand why Nellie wanted to go into the asylum,
It
right?
It
She's
fits.
like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
choose it, but I'd visit.
Oh, I see. I thought you were saying she's like a goth bitch. Like she wanted to see.
No, she was a goth
fucked up
bitch. She was
stuff.
in the 1800s.
Yeah, I'm for it. I'd like to experience it for a day.
I want to see you in like full Victorian garb. I feel like I'd be like seeing a ghost. It'd be so realistic.
I feel like I haven't found my personal style, and maybe that's because I belong in a Victorian gown all the time. I have one in my Amazon cart. Maybe I'll buy it.
Please do. I know it's the one that's like so expensive, but it could be worth it, right?
It's really, yeah. Maybe when I get my tax return.
I also feel like I have not found my personal style, so you're not alone.
Look at this thing that got recommended to my sister on her Facebook.
It's someone in just
It's like a full
It's like a full
head
I don't
to
know
toe
what you called
burqa.
it. Yeah.
But she,
Why, though?
That's funny because she had been getting like Amish dresses recommended to her, like in her ads. It's like, Cameron, like just for you. And it's an Amish dress with like a bonnet. And now they're recommending her like modesty. I think modesty is in the title, like modesty burqas.
fallen modesty double wide something.
So she must like really be giving like hardcore religious vibes in her day-to-day life.
I wonder if she if she's shopping for clothing like includes modest or something.
I don't.
Like,
I
in
doubt it. Like that doesn't seem like her.
No, it doesn't.
Like you guys, she's like a neuroscientist at St. Jude. She's not religious in the slightest.
Cam,
So
you're
I don't
cool as
know. It's just a hilarious like thing that keeps happening to her.
So weird.
But I told her I'm gonna get it for her birthday. Alec, do you still have a picture of the like Amish one?
I don't think so.
It's like this. It's just so funny, and this girl modeling it has these huge glasses on, and then this like matching bonnet and dress. And I think I actually am gonna buy that for her actual birthday.
Oh, wow. Well, buy me one too.
Okay.
So when the grand jury gets to the asylum, they're like, so we heard some shady shit is going down here. What's going on? The Blackwell staff is like, no, nothing's going on here. Do you want to take a tour of our like state-of-the-art facility? And they're like, no, we don't believe you. And they're exposed. Thanks to Nellie Bly, the city of New York adjusts the budget so that $1 million more per year goes towards their mental health facilities, which is in today's money, $24 million. A ton of the staff was fired. Translators were hired, and systematic changes within the facilities were made to prevent people who weren't really mentally unwell from ever being checked in. The stunt didn't just change mental health care, it changed journalism. And as much as Nellie liked to say that she invented stunt journalism, it had been going on for about 40 years at that time. But it had never been done by a 23-year-old woman. So we've got to give her that. Nellie Brown / Bly, well, that was her name in the psych ward. Nellie Brown was the first of many personas Nellie Bly took in. That became her thing. That is how she did journalism. She just became someone else and found things out and then wrote about them.
What else did she do?
Well, Miss Helen Wolcott got arrested for grand larceny, and she exposed the treatment of female prisoners. Nora Simpson went to a clinic in perfect health, and she was able to prove that the clinic was not properly treating their patients. From what I was able to From what I understand from the sources, none of them really came right out and said it, but it seemed like there was some like sexual harassment going on in the clinic. Alice Bostwick tried to uncover what happened to all of the unwanted babies in the city. So, you know, how people like sold babies.
She pretended to be a baby.
Yes, she put on her best
bonnet.
non-disposable diaper, her little bonnet. Yeah, she's like, ooh, this doubles for Amish woman and baby. Getting my money's worth. Nellie literally played hundreds of roles. She basically switched persona every single week. She put out a new story with a new persona, and she was never afraid to take a risk for the greater good. I think she also had a ton of fun with it too, though. She always chose stories in which she could take a stand for social justice. One of them being Miss Stephen Foster. She was the wife of a man in the business of patent medicine. And she went to the office of a lobbyist and she's like, hey, can you help me block a piece of legislation so we can make more money? And that would be great. He agreed. For the price of $1,000, she said she would pay him, and he was confident that he could sway at least 6 of the legislators to kill the bill. Nellie's like, okay, sounds great, baby. And I'll just need every single one of their names that you're planning on convincing, and then like once you do, I'll just like check them off the list, and then I'll send you the money. And he did that, and there were like 12 of them that were able to be manipulated into killing the bill, and she published all of their names in the paper.
Okay.
She's bold. I don't know how she wasn't like literally assassinated.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like she can blend in very well. Maybe they could never find her.
I feel like it's one of the perks of being a journalist in the 1800s.
And a woman. No one suspects you.
Yeah, you're supposed to be in the house.
Yeah.
What
are you doing
Why
out
would
here?
you be lying about being a housewife? One of Nellie's favorite stunts was attempting to travel around the world in 80 days after reading the book.
Around the world in 80 days.
The newspaper she worked for had already considered it, but they wanted to send a man. And obviously they couldn't send her. She's a woman.
Not a man.
She's not a man. She needs a big trunk. She needs a bunch of dresses. She can't read a map, that's for sure. So Nellie's like, fuck you guys. I'm going to go by myself. And the world's like, okay, fine. Like, you can cover this story. People were amazed by her ability to carry her own bag. And not have a huge trunk. And she only took one dress to wear.
To be fair, that is amazing. And I couldn't do that.
You can carry your own bag.
I can't just take one small bag and no trunk.
Across the world.
No. And one dress. Are you kidding me? In 80 days?
Yeah, I feel like her experience in the asylum really set her up well for traveling the world in 80 days with one dress.
I mean, when she came to America as an immigrant from Cuba, she only had the clothes on her back, so this is no different.
She knows what hardship is about, okay? She could also read and use a map. The people were floored. And that was the main focus of the news about Nellie's travels. It was like her lack of luggage is just inspiring. And the whole time, she's just sitting on trains and ships the entire time. And she was getting very bored.
Yeah, because is it just like going around the world as fast as possible?
Yeah, she's not visiting anywhere.
So she's
just on the go.
That sounds boring. Why did she want to do this?
You know what? She probably saved that diaper from when she pretended to be a baby. That way it just saves so much time.
That's why she didn't have to pack a change of clothes.
Yeah. She just needed a change of
diapers. Yeah.
The newspaper was getting very bored with her adventure as well. They decided to come up with another way to engage their readers in the story. the world offered to send someone on a first-class trip to Europe for free if they could guess the exact time that it took Nellie to travel around the world in days, hours, minutes, and seconds.
I'm going to guess 80 days.
80 days?
Did I get it?
Good guess. She traveled around the world in 72 days.
Oh, wow.
So not only did she do it as a woman, but she did it in one dress. And, oh yeah, she broke a record.
What
A
did the
world
dress
record.
look like, though?
I don't know. Probably very cute.
Yeah.
You'd have to wear your cutest dress. Even if you're uncomfortable, if you're going to be traveling around the world, you have to make a statement.
Yeah. And if you're only packing one dress, it has to be your best one.
Yeah, you can. I would always prefer to be overdressed than underdressed. So you have to take it to the max.
Yeah.
At all times.
Yeah.
So she broke a world record. She only held it for a few months, but she did break a world record. And she was really creating a new idea of what girls could do and who they could be. So I'm going to read a quick quote here to wrap up this lesson to tell you about the rest of her life, because I feel like I covered the most interesting part of it for me. In 1895, Bly married millionaire Robert Seaman and retired from journalism. Bly's husband died in 1903, leaving her in control of a massive manufacturing company.
She made sure he did not forget to write a will.
Oh, yeah. She wrote the will for him before they even got married. In business, her curiosity and independent spirit flourished. She went on to patent several inventions related to oil manufacturing. But times were different. They didn't know. They didn't know. Many of which are still used today. In her later years, Bly returned to journalism, covering the women's suffrage movement and World War I. While still working as a writer, Bly died from pneumonia on January 27th, 1922. Although Nellie Bly was a character that Elizabeth Cochran played, she became that person and really broke through many obstacles for herself and women everywhere.
Very cool. That was so interesting.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
I loved that one.
I can't believe that's been on my list since we started the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I should do that.
I feel like when things are on your list too long, you're like, eh. And then
you get used to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what happened. But I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me read my sources here. Undercover in an Insane Asylum, How a 23-year-old Changed Journalism by The Atlantic on YouTube. Around the World in 72 Days and Other Writings by Nellie Bly. The Story That Launched Nellie Bly's Famed Journalism Career by Hannah Kaiser on Mental Floss. Nellie Bly by Arlish R. Wood from the National Women's History Museum. Inside Nellie Bly's 10 Days in a Madhouse by Barbara Maranzani in biography.com. And 10 Days in a Madhouse by the woman herself, Nellie Bly.
Thank you for that learning journey, Hayley. We're going to hear from our sponsor and we will be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hopefully, after hearing that lesson, you all understand that mental health care has come a long way from the 1800s to right now, and it looks a lot different. We all know that without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news, though, is that therapy works. It works for me. It works for lots of other people. It works, okay? But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now. Maybe you cry every day in your car on the way to work. Or maybe everything's just fine. You're not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better. Because you do deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist who's near you to help, because BetterHelp has customized online therapy that offers video, phone, live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to, but you definitely can. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. and you start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. That surely beats the weeks and weeks waiting for a psychiatrist to be ready to see you, or a therapist. I don't know. That's just me. But I say join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy really is about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And special offer to our Night Classy listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/classy. That's betterhelp.com/classy. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. I have a scary story for you today.
I love it when you tell scary stories.
It's really scary. And I considered bringing like a candle to set the mood, but then I remembered that it's bright and sunny outside. So I don't think that would do much.
Let the words speak for themselves.
I will. I'm going to have to. But we do have these penis candles, but I don't know if we should burn them in here right now.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in like resin and save it forever. I've got so many penis-shaped things with like in relation to Night Classy the last couple weeks because we went to that sex bingo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I got that like suction cup dildo and now we're getting these penis candles.
And we got dicks by mail when we first started the podcast. Do you remember that?
Whoa, that was
a long time ago.
Blast from the past.
Okay, so spooky time. The year is 1986, and 16-year-old Annie Andrews and her 9-year-old sister Jessica were living with their father, Brian, in a small Massachusetts town. Just a few months before, the girls had sadly lost their mother to cancer. So at this point, they're still very much in the grieving process, still learning how to live without their mom.
Yeah.
And their dad, Brian, is now a single dad, just, trying to make ends meet.
Their whole world tossed upside down.
Definitely.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so it was in this state of vulnerability that the older of the two girls, Annie, one day received a phone call on the family's landline. On the other line was a teenage boy named Danny. And Annie didn't know Danny, but he said that he was a friend of a friend and he lived in her neighborhood.
He's like, hey, baby, I think we would look good together. We sound good together. Annie, Danny.
Annie
you can't
and Danny.
beat it.
Unless your name is Sandy, there's no better name to be with a Danny.
Yes. Okay. I was going to say, Kat, those don't rhyme. But for those of you who still don't get it, you may be too young. Grease, the movie.
Yes. Oh my God. We should watch Grease next movie night.
That is like my childhood favorite movie.
Mm-hmm.
That or Little Mermaid, but probably Grease.
That's a good one too. Yeah. Grease or Hairspray. Classic.
I've never seen Hairspray.
You've never seen Hairspray?
No.
Oh my God. That's going to be what I choose next movie night.
All right.
So he lived in her neighborhood. He's like, no worries. Like, we're only 1 degree of separation away. He was friendly. He was charming. He said he was tall, blonde, and athletic. So.
You know what? From our lesson on the Pockmarked Band, don't trust your nice neighbors, okay? Don't do it.
Don't do it. But I mean, for Annie, she's a teenage girl and suddenly this like hot guy is calling her on the phone. This is a dream scenario.
He's hot? I didn't know it was
he
hot.
says he's hot. He's tall, blonde, and athletic. It sounds like he's trying to sound hot. So she was excited. The two talked on the phone several times and then Annie agreed to go on a date with this boy. He was to pick her up from her home and the two would go into town. One article said ice cream. The other said to a local fair. Why couldn't it be both? Maybe it was.
Yeah, perhaps it was.
Yeah.
But if you're at the fair and you're getting ice cream and not a funnel cake, what's wrong with you?
That's true.
That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I don't think funnel cake is that good.
Of course you don't.
Sorry.
You disgust me.
It's too just like it tastes dirty to me. It's too oily.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's still good though.
But funnel cake is probably better. One time I was at the fair and I got a fried PB&J and that was disgusting.
Yeah, I've heard of. I feel like they fry everything now.
They do.
Somebody told me they had a fried stick of butter.
Yeah, you can get that. You can get fried Oreos, fried bananas.
Oreos are very good.
They are good, but you can only eat, I feel like, one.
Yeah.
And you need it. I wish they came with a dipping sauce. I feel like if they had like a strawberry dipping sauce, they'd be a lot better because otherwise it's just like a little too
I've had
heavy.
them with like a little scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. And
That sounds
that's
good.
the shit. Yeah.
Maybe that's what they got at the fair. That's the vehicle for their ice cream.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
One can hope. So the day of their date came, but when it was time for Annie to be picked up, the boy at her front door wasn't Danny, or at least it wasn't the Danny that was described to her on the phone.
What year was it?
1986.
Okay.
So this boy was not tall. He was not hot. He was dirty, disheveled. He was about 5'8" and very skinny. He had
what? You're gonna give me the cold shoulder now?
So he just like looked like I don't know, like a gremlin, like a street urchin. He was just a little nasty.
Like 5'8" and skinny. Excuse me.
He also had shaggy, greasy black hair. Does that
Grease? Is
resonate
mine
out?
greasy?
No.
Yes. Very.
And acne, which you recently cured your acne. So
You know what I think it is our pillowcases, because I kept breaking out on the side of my face that I sleep on.
oh, we need.
I need to like
them.
wash them.
Yeah,
Yeah, they say once a week.
we do.
Yeah.
We did wash it. It hasn't been. Don't make us sound gross. We washed it probably a week ago.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean when I change my hair products and then I'm laying on my pillow, that's usually when I break out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I used to break out. I had like this essential oil lavender pillow spray.
Oh, yeah.
And I had horrible acne and I couldn't figure out why. It was that. Don't use pillow spray if you have sensitive skin. Anyway, so this was not the tall blonde hottie that she was promised.
This was Alec at the door.
It was Alec. She was surprised and disappointed, but still agreed to go on this date. She probably just felt so awkward.
Why?
Because she was 16, like, and it's hard sometimes when you're a teenager to say no to people.
Yeah, I guess so. But that just seems like a life-altering decision.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably would have gone too when I was that age. Like, I would just have felt so uncomfortable that you just agree to go.
Hell no.
I mean, the wise thing is to say, I understand this awkward position she was in. So she goes on the date, and Danny didn't only look different than he was supposed to, but he acted different than he did on the phone. He was now really socially awkward, and the creepiest thing was he got weirdly enthusiastic when Annie told him her mother had recently died. He seemed excited by the mention of death and started asking her like really invasive, inappropriate questions about it.
Was
Yeah.
his voice the same?
I assume it was.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he was the guy on the phone.
It really was the guy on the phone, but like he did a good job hiding
He's a
all his
freak.
weirdness. Yeah, all his freakiness. Annie was understandably really uncomfortable, and after about an hour into the date, she called it. She's like, I have to go home, and she made it clear to Danny that she was not going to contact him ever again. She did not like him. So she was frustrated and upset, clearly.
As you would be.
Yeah.
How do you hide? Because I know for me, I can't hide any type of way I'm feeling. And in that experience, I would feel very uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure.
So,
And she
like,
probably
is he just
acted
not-
uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. I don't want it to seem like I'm blaming her.
Yeah.
I'm more so wondering about Danny not picking up on the vibes that he is freaking her out.
Well, I mean, clearly he's a weirdo. He probably didn't care that she was freaking her out.
Maybe he liked it.
Yeah, maybe. So in this moment, I imagine that Annie like wanted her mom. That's what I would want after I went through this seemingly traumatic experience. But, you know, her mom had sadly passed away. And a few days later, Annie collected her sister Jessica, and the two of them went down to the basement with their Ouija board. They hoped to hear from their mom. They were going to hold a seance.
Honey, no.
I know.
Oh, not no. Like I'm all for them using the Ouija board.
Yeah.
That breaks my heart.
It's really sad. And they lit candles. They kind of, I don't think they fully expected it to work, but it was just kind of, like a hope, like a last ditch effort. And they didn't get an answer during the seance. The Ouija board didn't do anything. So they were like, okay, like we kind of expected that. I don't think either of them were too bummed.
It spells out, I told you not to play with this damn board.
Yeah. Go to bed.
Eat your veggies. XOXO, mom.
Listen to your dad. Good night. So they ended the seance. They went to bed, thinking it didn't work, but whatever, didn't really expect it to. And then when they were laying in their bed, and it wasn't clear if they shared a bedroom or if their bedrooms just shared a wall, but they both heard a light tapping inside their bedroom wall. To them, the seance had worked. This was maybe their mom communicating
Edgar
them.
Allan Poe. Tapping.
But yeah, they were kind of excited. They didn't think it was Edgar Allan Poe. They thought that maybe it was their mom. She was making contact. Only this excitement faded when the knocking wouldn't stop. They started to hear it frequently, but only when they were alone in the house or really late at night when their dad was asleep.
'Tis the pipes.
The pipes are very intelligent to hide their knocking from their dad. The knock started to intensify as well. So in the beginning, it was just really light taps. But then as time went on, instead of these light knocks, they began hearing hard raps that were enough to sometimes wake them up from sleep.
Ew.
Yeah. They also started to notice weird things with their belongings. So they would return home from school to find the furniture in their bedroom would be moved around, or things would go missing only to turn back up in a new spot days later. Sometimes things wouldn't show back up at all. There were times where they'd leave food on the kitchen counter and then go do something and come back just to find it completely gone.
Oh, yeah. That would for sure be me as a ghost. I'm trying to get the snacks. Nothing matters anymore, right?
Right. For sure be me as a ghost. But also, I can't imagine something that would piss me off more. Like you cook yourself dinner and you're so hungry and then it's gone.
And the only thing that would piss me off more than preparing a whole meal and having it stolen by a ghost or whatever is having my leftovers stolen. Like if I go in the fridge and my leftovers aren't there when I'm expecting them to be, it's game over.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, do not fuck with someone else's leftovers. I got last night at Flying Saucer they have this like Reuben sandwich with the like jalapeno crow and Swiss cheese, and I got it without the pastrami and with a veggie patty on it. And it was so fucking good. And then I saved half of it and then ate the leftovers, and I've never tasted anything better.
My gosh, when the leftovers are almost better than the initial meal.
It's always better because I feel like you're always more hungry when it's time to eat the leftovers.
Yeah, and if you heat it up right, especially bread, if you do it like on the stovetop or in a toaster oven type action, the air fryer.
And you know what meal is always better heated up is mac and cheese.
I literally, yes, that is what I was going to say, but I was like, but what if I'm wrong?
No, you are so right. It's always better the next day.
Yeah, what's with that?
I think that the noodles absorb the sauce, maybe. And then it's better. I don't know. It's just so much better the next day.
I was just thinking that I want some good ass mac and cheese. Like
me too.
I am heartbroken over Chick-fil-A and their morals, but their mac and cheese, devilishly good.
It really is. But we can make mac and cheese better than that.
Yeah, homemade mac and cheese every time. But it's
some
so
breadcrumbs
expensive
on that
to make some good mac and cheese.
Yeah,
you have to buy the different cheeses. Yeah.
True. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll make some.
Patrons, your money is going towards some good ass mac and cheese. So if
you're welcome.
If you also believe in mac and cheese, head on over there and you'll get some extra content.
So this stuff was going on for months, and the girls were starting to get really scared. They no longer thought this was their mom. Because it was scaring them. Their mom wouldn't scare them. They figured that they had probably opened a portal with the Ouija board to something darker.
Yeah, for sure. Because things like that always start small, and then they get bigger and bigger until it's like
it starts
floating
small
on the ceiling,
right? And you it makes you think that it's the person you want to contact, and then that gives them like an invitation to come in.
I'm not mom. I'm wow.
The ancient demon from the pits of hell. Wow.
Instead of Zozo, it's wow wow.
And it says it like Owen Wilson. I'm wow.
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 I'm not mom. I'm wow.
So now they're scared. They go to their dad and tell him what's been happening. And he knew about the seance, but he did not believe the girls' claim that they were being haunted. He figured that they were in grief over their mom, and that was causing like some overactive imaginations or maybe some attention-seeking behavior. So he kind of just brushed it off. Not long after, in early 1987, Annie and Jessica heard knocking noises again. This time it was coming from the basement.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And usually it was just in their bedroom walls. So
is there something evolutionarily that makes basements so scary?
I think it's that they're oftentimes not finished. So they're kind of like dark and dingy.
Yeah, maybe it is just anything that's dark and you can't see and feel vulnerable, especially if the basement is all open. And the scary basement stairs where you can like see through.
Oh, so scary.
I am 24 years old and I run up the basement stairs almost every time.
Oh, me too. I'm still scared of my parents' basement.
Yeah, my grandma's was the absolute worst.
Yeah, they're very scary. And this basement was no exception. So Annie was kind of like, I'm going to see what this is once and for all. She grabbed a kitchen knife just in case, and she grabbed her sister. And the two went down the stairs to check it out. They got down there, and on the wall, written in blood, was a message that said, "I'm in your room, come find me." And at this point, I realize this sounds like I'm reading you a creepypasta, but I swear to God, this is real.
None of your sources are Reddit.
None.
Right?
No.
Good.
This really happened.
How about any .orgs? You got any .orgs?
I don't know that I have any .orgs, but we can't have everything. So obviously, this is the scariest shit that's ever happened to anyone. And the girls ran from their house screaming, and then like to a neighbor who called their dad. And their dad
ran to wait, was the dad home?
No, he wasn't home.
Okay. They're like, Dad doesn't believe us after we told him one time. So they went to the neighbor.
Right? You're my daddy now.
Yeah. And then they checked the girls into an insane asylum.
And that girl was Nellie
Brown.
Yeah. No, so they called Dad, who was at work, and he came home as fast as he could and went down into the basement to investigate. He looked at the message and found that it was not written in blood. It was written in ketchup.
He tasted it.
Probably smelled it.
He smelled it.
Yeah, I don't
Still
know.
bad.
I would
I
call
hate
the
it.
police before I got close to that. But he really didn't think it was anything to be concerned about because he believed that it was the girls doing it themselves.
Even if it is the girls, that's something to be concerned about.
Definitely. And I don't know, maybe he did like put them in therapy or do something, but he definitely didn't think that it was a ghost or anything else. He thought it was them, just like a cry for attention. After this happened, things died down. They no longer heard the knocking in the walls. They kind of thought everything was in the past and started letting their guard down until then Annie, one day when she was home alone, heard knocking coming from her bedroom. Once again, she grabbed a knife and went up to her bedroom. When she reached the door, she opened it and found another message written in what we now know as ketchup. On the wall, it said, "I'm back. Find me if you can." Again, the girls ran from their house and called their dad. Brian came home. He entered the house, and when he reached the top of the stairs, he saw a new message on the wall. It said, "Marry me." He kept going up the stairs, and when he looked in Annie's room, he saw it. It was a teenage boy wearing his dead wife's dress, a blonde wig, and face paint.
Oh, God.
In his hand was a hatchet.
Oh, God. No.
Yeah,
it's like on the wall, he wrote another message, and it's like, fall behind or catch up.
Brian lunged at the boy. He fought him for a minute before he escaped, and the police were called. They conducted a thorough search of the house, but couldn't find the boy.
So he was the one doing the tapping?
Mm-hmm.
Where the fuck was he? In the attic? In the basement?
I'll tell you. So they looked around, couldn't find him. He had seemingly vanished until one officer noticed a small gap between the wall and a built-in cabinet in Annie's room.
Skinny boy.
The police pulled the cabinet from the wall and found Danny LaPlante. Oh my God, could not say his name for some reason. Danny LaPlante crouched in the crawl space behind it. Danny LaPlante. So he was in the wall. This was the same boy, of course, that Annie had gone on a date with months before.
This is Ghost reincarnated as a human in the wall.
Ghost is Danny LaPlante. Yeah, he wishes. My cat Ghost loves getting in the wall. So an investigation of the crawl space revealed a sleeping bag, beer cans, clothing, food wrappers, indicating that LaPlante had been hiding in the walls and terrorizing the girls possibly for months.
That's where he grew up.
He's a wall boy. You've heard of ball boys. This is a wall boy.
He took the opportunity to go on a date with her to escape the wall. He thought he would woo her, be able to move in with the family on a normal basis, but it all went downhill.
That's why he was
there.
so pale and skinny. He'd been living in the wall his whole
and
life.
oily, no shower.
Right. There's no shower in the wall.
We all know that.
Police even found peepholes carved into the walls that LaPlante had used to spy on the family.
Oh my God. I would not notice a peephole. There's so many fucking holes in my walls.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from the times with our old ass house, it's like plaster wall. So when I try to drill something in, specifically some shelves, hopefully our landlords are not listening right now, it left massive holes that like the drill just would not go into.
We will not be getting our deposit back.
So many peepholes. I am patching the holes. I am determined to get. I have never lost a deposit. So.
Not even partially?
No.
Wow. You've had some good landlords. All my landlords in college were freaking slumlords and found any excuse. We got like half our deposit taken from us because there was an oil stain in the driveway. And it was
insane.
it was a driveway in a college town where cars were driving all over it all the time. It wasn't even our oil stain.
Oh
crazy.
My gosh. Well, I feel like at some point our landlords owed us. My senior year of college, we moved to a different apartment and the property manager literally told us the wrong address because she had never sent us the lease that we signed in person. And she gave us the wrong address and the wrong date to move in. So after I got everything ready to go with the U-Haul and everything, that day we get there and she's like, oh, that's the wrong house. It was next door, but still the tenants hadn't moved out yet. So we had to put everything in the basement and it was an old ass house. So the basement was all fucked up, basically. The dimensions.
Danny LaPlante was in the walls.
He was in the walls. A big chest that I got from my grandma, like a buffet, this ancient buffet that I wanted to keep forever, didn't fit in the basement, and I had to just put it out on the street.
Oh my God.
It was awful.
You should have taken it to your landlord's house. Be like, store this for me, bitch.
Oh my gosh, I know. I wish I still had it, but we took one of the doors off, so I still have one of the doors that I'll hang up one day.
Oh, that's sad.
I know.
But yeah, just going back to the lesson here.
Going back to the whole point of this.
Shut up, Hayley. No, but it's like, have you ever seen that movie, Kiss the Girls?
No.
It's a great movie. You should watch it. But in the opening scene, there's like a guy living in her walls, spying on her, and then he kidnaps her. And I saw that movie when I was probably in 6th grade. And then for all of middle school, I was convinced there was someone living in my wall.
It's crazy what a movie can make you think is possible.
It's just it's the scariest fucking scenario on the planet. Like, it's so scary.
Fully agree. That's why I don't know about you all, but gotta close those curtains every single night. I can't have anyone seeing me and I can't see them.
Definitely. Yeah. 100%. And in my room, there was my parents' house was an old house, and so there was this vent for the heat to come out, kind of like we have in our floor, but it was on this like ceiling above my bed, and so I would just imagine someone crawling in there, like looking down on me while I sleep.
One of my students is, okay, if you don't know, I teach preschool, and they're all 3 or 4 years old, and one of my students is obsessed with vents. Like, he will stand underneath them and like sway side to side so that he can see the different angles through the flaps, and he like will point up to it.
Maybe there's someone in there.
He doesn't like to walk underneath them.
Oh my God, maybe there's someone living in his walls at home and he's carried that trauma to school.
I hate that.
Oh, it's so creepy. Did you ever watch I think it was on Netflix. It was a documentary. I think it was called Voyeur, about a guy who built a motel so that he could watch people, and like he would just go up there in the attic with like popcorn and just watch people all night.
With popcorn?
And his wife was cool with it. Like, she'd bring him Pepsi and shit while he just spied on people. And I think he may have made the documentary, or he was interviewed because the statute of limitations for all that stuff was up. So he was able to just do a tell-all of all the fucked up shit he did.
Wow. The villain in the latest season of Dexter New Blood, did something similar to that.
Probably inspired by this creepy ass dude. Definitely watch it. It was one of the scariest things I'd ever seen, and I'm never gonna look at a motel ever again.
We have 2 show/doc recommendations within 2 minutes.
Hey, it happens.
We stay watching TV.
We really do. Danny LaPlante was born in 1970 and had a very rough childhood. Trigger warning, childhood sexual abuse. He was severely abused as a child, especially by his father, who sexually abused him. So he grew up living with his mother and stepfather in Townsend, Massachusetts.
Awful. I have to say it. We all know it, but Jesus.
And
Christ.
It only gets like exponentially more awful.
Yeah, if you don't have the proper care like it does, it's gonna get worse.
Listen.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
His stepfather also sexually abused him. And as a young boy, he was sent to a psychiatrist who diagnosed him with dyslexia and hyperactivity disorder. And
how about PTSD?
Right, probably that too. And the psychiatrist also sexually abused him.
What the fuck?
Like, just it's really just like a never-ending chain of horribleness for this kid. At school, LaPlante didn't have really any friends. Classmates describe him as creepy and weird. LaPlante was obviously suffering from lots of abuse and trauma. He had no support from friends or anyone at home, and his neurodivergence was diagnosed, but it went completely untreated and unmanaged. So it's no shock that things spiraled out of control in his teen years. Daniel started breaking into homes. At first, it was just petty theft. But then as he got more confident, he realized he got a lot of pleasure just from messing with the people that he burglarized. So he started breaking into homes and just like moving things around to kind of just fuck with the residents' heads.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like there's something wrong with me
because you would do that too.
I feel like a different version of it. Like I've told you before, it's fun for me to like say crazy things and see how people react. I feel like I was a few traumatic experiences away from being a psychopath.
Yeah. And like, I'm not saying that like his hard childhood was any kind of excuse for this, but for
no,
me,
but like causation.
right. And to me, it sounds like he had no power over, like, I feel like being sexually abused, that's the ultimate, like someone taking power away from you. And so he kind of liked exercising power and like kind of playing God to these people whose homes he would break into.
Yeah.
He'd also do things to creep people out, like he would leave half-drinking beverages around and just like so people would know someone was there. But then like if nothing really was stolen, that just like is extra creepy.
Harmless.
Right. And he kind of like got off on scaring people. So that's when in 1986, when he was 16, he started calling Annie. And before calling her, he had most likely broken into the family's home, seen some pictures of her, done some stalking, and grew obsessed with her. So he was drawn and decided to call her.
Flattering.
So flattering. She should consider herself complimented. Just kidding.
Lucky.
So he ended up, of course, after this whole thing, living in the walls, being detained by police. He spent 10 months in a juvenile detention facility, but after those 10 months, the judge decided to move his case to adult court. He was still 17, so he wasn't quite 18, but he was going to be tried as an adult, meaning that now he could post bail.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the whole reason to be tried as an adult is to be an adult and be tried.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that like so often children are tried as an adult, and it's like you shouldn't be able to be tried as an adult before you're 18.
Yeah,
like you're not an adult.
We put an age on when you're an adult officially in the government's eyes, and then we switch that up when it's convenient to get a harsher treatment within the justice system.
It's like you can't buy alcohol or cigarettes until you're 21, but you can be tried as an adult and like fucking go to war when you're still a teenager. It makes no sense. So Daniel's mom helped bail him out of jail, and he was able to walk free for the time being. He had been charged with 4 counts of kidnapping, armed assault in a dwelling, breaking and entering, larceny of more than $100.
Kidnapping?
And malicious destruction of property. Yeah, I don't really understand the kidnapping charge. Maybe just because maybe it was from when he took Annie on a date, or maybe it was just that he was like messing with like underage. I don't understand that one either. I'm not sure.
Maybe can you by law like kidnap yourself per se?
No.
Like if he's 17, if they're trying to like rack the charges up, I don't know, this might be like totally crazy, but if he was living in never mind. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think it was kidnapping against himself.
But I want to know how he got kidnapping.
I don't know. I have no idea. But in any case, he was due to appear in court on December 11th. Only he would never appear in court on December 11th.
Uh-oh.
In November, he broke into a neighbor's home and stole 2 handguns. Then on December 1st, 1987, Daniel took one of the handguns and walked half a mile to the home of the Gustafson family.
What is it called? Not a locker, safe. Get a gun safe, people.
Right. For Jesus fucking Christ. For real.
Going to have guns, don't put them in your nightstand dresser.
No.
First of all, lock them up. Don't put them on the shelf. Just be smart.
Please, for the love of God, put them in a safe. Because, like, even if you keep them unloaded and disassembled and you don't have kids in the house, something like this could fucking happen. Someone could break into your house that should not have a gun and fucking steal one of your guns. So, yeah, I
agree.
Save
yourself the mess.
Save everyone the mess. The Gustafsons were 33-year-old Priscilla, her 34-year-old husband Andrew, and their 2 children, 7-year-old Abigail and 5-year-old William. Priscilla was also pregnant with their 3rd baby. Priscilla was known to be an extremely kind, caring woman and a great mom. She was a Sunday school teacher and sang in the church choir, and her husband Andrew was an attorney. So Daniel entered the home and found Priscilla and William. Abigail was at school and Andrew was at work. just a warning for everyone. This is about to get extremely dark, so trigger warning for violence and rape. Daniel forced Priscilla into the bedroom. I probably at gunpoint, I assume, because I don't think there were signs of a struggle.
Yeah.
And there he beat and raped her before putting a pillow over her head and shooting her at point blank into the pillow twice.
My goodness. Do you think that this instance was caused by him being like caught in Annie's home, or this was before that?
Yeah, to me it's like, I wonder if this is something he always wanted to do and now he's like, I'm about to go to jail, like I just like goes berserk,
go on a spree and
does this. I don't know. He is clearly severely like mentally unwell, and I don't know why it escalated so fast, but it's also like, this is why peeping and like petty theft like needs to be taken seriously. And I'm not saying like it should be punished harshly, but I'm saying like you need to be watched and get mental treatment because it escalates to shit like this.
Yeah, it can be a precursor.
Definitely, and it often is. So he murdered Priscilla and then he drowned William in the bathtub upstairs.
Oh my God.
I know. And then Abigail got home from school and he drowned her in the downstairs bathtub. Yeah.
I have no words.
I know. It's so awful. So Andrew arrived home at 5 p.m. to a quiet house.
Which is obviously not what he expects when you have kids.
No. Yeah. It was like eerily quiet. And so immediately he knew something wasn't right. He headed up. First, he went upstairs and checked him and Priscilla's bedroom. And there he saw blood everywhere. Like she was shot in the head twice. So it had been, seeping all over the bed. And she was face down on the bed, clearly deceased. At that point, he ran from the house. He didn't search for his kids just because he was so afraid of what he could find. He just couldn't bear, to find them.
Like that, then something is obviously very, very wrong. And, after listening to so many murder podcasts and things like that, there are some people where they have enemies and it might be expected somewhere in the back of your mind that something terrible could happen. But this is just completely random,
so
unrelated, just so fucked up.
Yeah. You would never expect it. You're just a normal family and then come home to this. So he's so shaken. He calls the police. A manhunt ensues to find the suspect. And given Daniel's history and the fact that he had recently been released, he was the first one suspected. So they kind of drew that conclusion pretty quickly. It was a small town. I think he was like the only criminal in the town, so they knew where to look. And when questioned, Daniel denied any involvement, but police quickly found evidence that told a different story.
The ketchup.
The ketchup. He was covered in ketchup. In the woods between Daniel and the Gustafsons' home, police found one of Daniel's shirts and a wet pair of gloves. So they assume the gloves he wore while drowning the two children.
Yeah, he's like, I always wear gloves.
They're always wet.
Mean? I'm always covering up a crime.
I have clammy hands. They also found a bullet casing at Daniel's home that matched the ones used to shoot Priscilla, and the gun was found in the glove box of Daniel's stepdad's car. So pretty incriminating.
He's like, obviously it's my stepdad.
Right. And they tried to argue that in court. So
they did.
They did.
They did.
And Daniel's Converse matched the footprints in the Gustafsons' flower bed. His fingerprint was found on the family's phone. And analysis of Daniel's blood revealed he was a type A secretor, which matched the semen found at the scene. So they had him. Yeah. It all lined up very quickly. When police arrived for a second time to question Daniel, he knew it was over. He ran into the woods and just kept running.
Dude, you're not going to escape.
No.
Right? He doesn't escape.
No, you can only run in the woods for so long.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more scary things in the woods. Well, maybe not if you've done these awful things and law enforcement is after you. I'm just very scared of bears.
I'm scared of being cold, wet, and hungry. That's why I wouldn't want to be in the woods. So, like, they chased after him. It was like a massive chase. There was a police helicopter, a canine unit, 50 police officers. Everyone was looking for him.
The odds of you actually getting away is so small.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a risk that he's willing to take. He hid in a wall for months.
Willing to risk it all.
He is.
Clearly.
And I mean, it's like he knows he's going to jail forever at this point. Like, I guess you may as well run.
Yeah, take one more jog around the block.
Yeah, I may as well. Just one more breath of fresh air. Just breathe that fresh air as long as you can, because you ain't getting it where you're going. To escape the area, Daniel caught a woman at gunpoint and ordered her to drive him away in her van. She managed.
So rude.
So rude. Where does he get off?
All you have to do is say please.
Right. Just ask nice. You can tell her you have a gun, but just leave
don't
something
have
up
to
to
be
the imagination.
so confrontational.
Luckily, she managed to escape and was able to tell police what vehicle he was in.
He's very wet. He's very cold.
He's just eating ketchup out of a bottle, and I'm so scared.
That's the scariest part about him. He's just squirting it right into his mouth, raw dogging the ketchup bottle.
Oh, God. And other people saw him as well. Like, by this point, it was the only thing on the news. This was a really small town, so everyone was freaking shook and looking for him. On December 3rd, Daniel was found hiding in a dumpster where he belongs, about 11 miles from Townsend. And he was swiftly charged with 3 counts of murder, to which he pled not guilty.
It wasn't me.
For me, it's the audacity. Like, just say you did it. Everyone knows you did it. Like, there's so much evidence.
Yeah, he's unwell.
Completely. So prosecution, obviously, like I said, they had all the evidence they needed. And also, Daniel did not come off well in court. He acted like the piece of shit that he is. He showed no remorse, and he was constantly smirking. So he just kind of rubbed everyone the wrong way. They're like, this fucking guy. Even his own lawyers hated him, and so they got bad vibes from him.
That's fair.
Yeah. And like, also they probably hated him, A, because he's a crazy murderer rapist, but B, because like there was like, he just makes them seem bad at their jobs, because there's no way they can argue for his innocence.
Yeah. They're like, why are you like, make everyone's life easier? You've already done all of this harm. You're guilty.
Just say you did it, and we
okay.
can all go home.
You're not in trouble. Wait, well, you're a little bit in trouble, but
because if you plead guilty, you avoid a trial, right? You're like, I'm guilty,
and then it just goes
there's
to
a plea
sentencing.
deal. Yeah.
So
he just really dragged it on. Everyone's pissed at him. So the lawyer is having to argue for something. At first, they tried to say that it was either Daniel's brother or stepfather that committed the murders, but they both had very solid alibis because they didn't do it.
Yeah, what kind of trouble do you have to be in as the lawyer to have to defend someone like him?
They're probably public defenders. You don't really get a choice.
Yeah.
And so that didn't work, obviously. So then they just started to bring up, his abusive childhood and try to get sympathy from the judge for a lighter sentence. Ultimately, all of that failed. The jury convicted him on all 3 counts of first-degree murder after only 5 hours of deliberation, which is nothing for a murder case. The jury, I already read that. And there's no death penalty in Massachusetts, but the judge made sure to give him the harshest sentence he possibly could, which was 3 consecutive life sentences.
He's like, I'm going to live for 3 years or 3 lives.
Yes. Fuck yeah. He's like Voldemort, like the people he killed are his Horcruxes. The more people you kill, the longer you live.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it would even out, right? Did he kill 3 or 4 people?
3.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well,
I guess 4 if you count the unborn baby.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how they broke that down.
Yeah,
but
I think she must not have been far along enough for them to consider it.
Well, the
also
heartbeat's
murder.
at 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
pro-abortion, by the way.
She's not pro-choice, she's pro-abortion.
I'm pro both.
So Daniel is currently in prison, and despite many appeals, he is not eligible for parole until 2032. And I don't know if he appealed many times. He appealed at least once, but he also wrote this letter trying to argue that he was sentenced unfairly, and he's just been a huge pain in the ass. He just does shit in prison to argue and be annoying every chance he gets. According to all these hearings, so he had parole hearings, and in these reports, people say he does not show any remorse. He has not been rehabilitated. He does not deserve to be let out, which, yes. He stirred up controversy in prison when he became a Wiccan. And so this is just the kind of shit he does. He demanded the state provide him with 30 essential oils and 26 herbs because he needed them for his practice, and it would be religious discrimination not to give them to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they did that?
No. The list included dragon's blood, black opium, and honeysuckle, just a lot of random shit. And he said he needed it to ward off jinxes and connect with the goddess. And I don't think he was actually Wiccan. I think he just loves attention and wants to stir the pot and be a dick. And local practitioners of Wicca are this fucking guy. They're obviously not pleased with him and say there's no reason why he needs these things to practice his faith. All you need to do is be able to pray and meditate to be Wiccan.
For someone who garners such public attention to be doing the most like that and really drag the Wiccan name in the mud.
Yeah, it sucks that this stuff happens. I feel like Wiccans really get a bad rap because of people like this. And they even say it themselves. There was a local Wiccan leader who said that this religion sometimes attracts, quote, crazy people about Daniel. And yeah.
Yep. Well, I don't even know if it's the religion that attracted it. It seems like more of a scapegoat, if you will.
Just a way to get people to talk about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the creepy as fuck story of Daniel LaPlante, and hopefully he rots in jail.
Yes, please. Just rot in jail for us all, please, Danny.
Please,
Danny boy. Wow, that was crazy. I was really thinking that it was going to be a ghost story when you started this, and then it was a human story.
Yeah,
and I
which
hated
is
it
even
more.
scarier.
So thanks for that.
You're welcome. Now you'll be up all night thinking someone's in the walls. My sources. So I got a ton of info from talkmurderwithme.com, which is a blog, but they also have a podcast called Talk Murder With Me, and their blog was amazing. That's where I got most of my information. So if their podcast is anywhere near as good as their blog, I'm sure it's awesome. So go listen to them. Also, I got information from grunge.com, Wikipedia, a ranker.com article called A Teen Terrorized a Family While Living in Their Walls, and it sounds like a real-life horror movie by Laura Allen, and then thecinemaholic.com. And that's my lesson.
Wow, thank you for that. That was spooky. I love it when you give us a spooky little lesson.
Well, thank you for listening. Make sure to check out Not Your Nana's soap on Etsy and
check it out, smell it out.
It's so good, you guys. My microphone has smelled like lavender and roses this whole time.
Yeah, I need to do mine.
It's very good. You should try it. So check them out. Thank you again for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media. Tell a friend. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, please, 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 right now, just go over to the little rating button, click it, give us 5 stars. It takes under a second, and it would really help us out. And make sure you follow us also. That helps us get up in the charts, is the more followers and subscribers we have on whatever platform you're listening on. So I know sometimes I'll forget to follow podcasts because they come up in my recently listened anyway, and I don't think about it.
Hit it and forget it.
Hit it and forget it. It's actually really helpful when you follow us.
You have no idea.
Please do. And yeah, check out our Patreon for List Bitch and Cocktail Hour. We will see you there. We love you. We thank you. And 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.